Now, if you're an adult male with a functioning sex drive and oozing with testosterone, you may have browsed the internet and came across the Japanese pornography. And unlike any other pornography, the Japanese one is very interesting because as you're looking at it, they pixelate the private parts. So the actual meat of the issue, the most important aspect, is being censored. And so it begs the question, why aren't they like the Chinese, which censor everything? Or why aren't they like the Chad Americans, which show everything? Why do they decide to show, but at the same time censor? Well, it's because of the Japanese Penal Code Article 175, which apparently criminalizes the distribution of publicly displaying obscene materials. The official text punishes people who distribute or displays obscene documents, drawings, recordings, or electronic records with penalties up to imprisonment or fines. And so it's interesting, like, where did this Article 175 of the Penal Code in Japan came from when it was passed? Well, apparently it comes from the Meiji-era modernization, when Japan was copying and adopting Western-style legal systems. And during that time, a couple of pious individuals, right, like Christians, came to Japan. And Japan was a very open society. They basically had women just bathing in the open with their children, you know, some women walking around, tits out. And the Christians did what Christians normally do when they see a titty. It's like, you know, right? Just losing their marbles. And so they brought the most powerful weapon that Christianity has designed. Shame. Oh, shame, shame. How shameful. How can we allow... And because the Japanese wanted to, you know, show to Europeans that they are not barbaric, they decided to pass the Article 175 of the Penal Code. Now, as I mentioned before, the Penal Code criminalizes distributing or publicly displaying obscene materials. But the question is, what exactly constitutes obscene materials, right? Because what's obscene to you may not be for me, and vice versa. And the catch is that the law genuinely does not precisely define what obscene is, and this is the loophole, right? Now, back in the day, in 1957, there was a famous case with Lady Chatterley's Lover. This was a fictional book written, it was erotica, and the Japanese Supreme Court upheld an obscenity conviction, despite the law being purely fictional. However, as time moved on and people realized, it's like, hold on a little bit, like, we're not Christians, right? Like, we're not. We're Chad Buddhists and Taoists, and I think we have some Confucians, like, why are we modeling our society based on Christianity? No, it's just like, we need to have pragmatism, right? Like, in Japan, and I think like Asian religions, like, sex is not necessarily shameful. It's like the concept, like how you're using sexuality, that's important. And it's also, after World War II, the Japanese were obsessed to fight against censorship. And I don't really blame them. Like, when you live under the God Emperor and he controls every single aspect of your life, you tend to move a little bit away from enforced theocracy, and you tend to move a little bit away from dictatorship, and therefore the government controlling people's opinions. And so America as well, they encourage Japan to be extremely anti-censorship. And so whenever Japan interprets a law, they're not interpreting in favor of the ban, but if something is harmful, they're interpreting, it's like, okay, it's harmful, but like, how can we censor the very least amount of it? While in the West, it's harmful, how can we censor almost all of it, right? And so the definition of obscene has moved from, you know, like pornography in general, it has moved to basically showing penetration. So in other words, they believe that nudity is okay. They believe that seductive poses is okay. They believe that even mimicking sex acts is fine. Just don't show the penetration. And this is why in Japan you have the pixelated mosaic. It's an ancient law that no politician has ever tried charging it because there is no demand from changing it, right? Like the industry is functioning as is, everyone is happy, and so it never even came into question. Like they didn't even think about it. And so why are we talking about it now? Well, recently, it wasn't the government that decided to crack down. It was the private platforms. So the Japanese people have this platform called Fantasia. And Fantasia is kind of like Patreon in the West. And one of the rules from Fantasia is that you need to pixelate, right? You need to do the mosaic thing. And a lot of artists did what artists do best. They started pushing the boundaries. It's like, okay, if we need to censor, how much censorship is enough? And in the beginning, like the pixelation was very heavily. But as time moves on, more and more artists started dwindling it to the point where you don't even have to use AI in order to reveal what was there. And yes, like apparently this is something that Japanese people do, right? Like they use AI to unpixelate. And it's not necessarily AI, like they can use even Photoshop and shit. But you can squint your eyes and you can see it. And so the standards were lowered and lowered and lowered until the government actually did go in and punished a couple of people, which shocked the platform. And so they decided to be like, okay, well, if you're going to be like that, you have to censor everything. Bring back the black box, right? And like the hard pixelation until you can't see the mushroom whatsoever. Now, how is this going to affect the industry? Well, it probably depends, because what will happen is that Japanese people absolutely despise censorship. Like, they have a very strong immune system against it. They would rather have their entire society burn and get nuked again than to censor anything, right? Like, convincing Japan even to censor the Kasami, the actual Kasami with, you know, people and shit, was a very difficult struggle. And you gotta understand, it's because like their society has unironically been traumatized by the God Emperor cult. And so they're genuinely for free speech. And so when you censor anything for any reason, it doesn't fucking matter. When you start censoring, the people, they rebel, right? Like they behave like Westerners used to behave back when Reddit started censoring for the first time. And so what will they do? Well, the people from Fantasia are probably going to go to other Japanese websites, right? So they're going to go to the L site, they're going to go to Pixiv, whatever. And they're going to bring their watering down over there. Because now it's going to be viewed as if you're an artist and you're watering down censorship, you're a rebel. You're fighting against the man. You're fighting against the pig. And so those platforms are going to have to start censoring as well, because otherwise the authorities may knock at their door. So I do believe that, yeah, like in the future, the censorship is going to become more and more severe, not because the government has changed anything, but simply because the platforms have changed the rules. Now, this may not necessarily be for the bad thing. Most people, including in Japan, agree that the law is a little bit retarded, right? Like the Japanese people today don't want it. They make a lot of money from the hentai industry, and not to mention, a lot of Japanese people believe that the hentai industry actually causes the real porn industry to suffer. In other words, like there's less interest in people in watching actual people fucking, or in strip clubs, in sex clubs, right? In OnlyFans type of content, because people actually go to the drawings, and so they view it as a net positive. And so they don't want this law of censorship, right? Because, like, what are you doing? Like... But no one wants to talk about it because, again, like, talking about it, like, does what? You know, like, the industry exists, everything is happening, why bring it up? But if it's going to actually cause disruptions, and we're talking disruptions in the terms of millions of dollars and tax revenue and shit, may actually start bringing it up. And they're not going to bring it up in the sense of, let's get rid of it. They're probably going to start saying, oh, the punishment is a little bit too much. Like, you may have a case, right, where an artist or someone like that gets prison time. And people will say, well, is he really that big of a societal danger? Do we need to spend taxpayer money in order to put him in prison for that? And especially if it's a teenager, if it's like an 18-year-old or 20-year-old, like something that they have for the cameras. And then it's going to be like, okay, let's renegotiate. Or what can also happen is when you have the government like having an entire package of laws, like within that pork of a package, they may actually have that mentioned. Usually this happens because of lobbying, right? Like the big businesses like Pixiv, Fantasia, and others, they're going to be like, you're going to knock at our door every single time an artist uploads something. Like, come on, it's just like, get rid of it. Or at least have some firm guidelines and explain what obscenity is. And so, yes, like for the foreseeable future, I do expect that some other Japanese websites, Pixiv, whatever that other one is, DL site, right? They're going to start increasing the rules when it comes to censorship. And it's all because, people were constantly pushing the envelope, right? Like artists were outdoing each other in order to try and censor less and less until the censorship was symbolic. Like you would actually see the penis and there was just like one black line. Like a thin black line just covering the pee hole. And it's like, dude. But again, I kind of not blame the artist either because the law is being retarded, right? Like either you allow people or you don't allow people. This is ridiculous. But then again, it's not really that shocking because like what Japanese people like to do is like they're pragmatic people. And they're like, no, we'll do what we want to do, not what you tell us to do. But we'll save face while doing it, right? Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, we'll see you in the comment section. Take care.